Welcome to episode 2 of Ben Snap and Chat. I'm one of your hosts, Cristie Vito,
And I'm Drake Jensen.
and we're really happy to have you here today. Today's going to be a little bit of a maybe sensitive subjects for certain people. We're going to be talking about the nervous system and how our bodies respond with stress. And right now, the world as we know it is under incredible amounts of stress. So I think it's important. I just want to say, add a little trigger warning just in case, because it is very sensitive. Now, we're not going to go into too much dive down into what's actually been coming out because we don't want to re-traumatize anyone. We want this episode to give you an explanation of what's actually happening in our nervous system and why you might be feeling some of the things that you're feeling, and then give you tools that can help you deal with some of this stress and stuff that's coming up. So, Drake, when was the last time you read news and you didn't feel it in your body?
So I've never ever been to a point in my life where I've been able to do that. So quick story about me and why this is so triggering for me is when I was a kid, I would lie awake at night for hours and be terrified of war. And it was an ongoing thing. And my parents just blamed it on OCD because it's in the family. But I constantly had that feeling. And then finally I think by the time I hit in my late, probably later adolescence, it stopped. And then I thought I have nothing to worry about. But lately, unfortunately, all of those things that used to keep me awake at night are back. They're back to haunt me, Cristie.
They really are. They're back to haunt all of us. I think you're not the only one. And one of the things that came up just in one of our conversations was this is a collective rising. If you're feeling a certain way, you're not alone. It's all of us, I think, right now.
Yeah.
With, as a woman specifically, who has been in abusive relationships, a lot of what is coming out specifically in the Epstein files has been really triggering. And it makes me look back at my life and how, as a teenager in the 90s, thinking back, like Victoria's Secret and all these brand names that are coming out.
How much money do women spend on Victoria's Secret?
So much money, so much. And
it's millions, it's billions, it's billions, right?
Easily.
Yeah.
And so to now look at what is coming out and how beauty standards and how our bodies should look as women, to now know that was very influenced.
So if anybody is not into the news and doesn't know what she's talking about, Wexner, who actually basically owns Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secret, gave his complete power of attorney to Jeffrey Epstein. So he gave him everything.
It's just
control over his whole empire, by the way. So what was behind all that?
Well, all of this horrific stuff that's
been triggering everybody.
It's triggering everybody.
And it's triggering, I can see how it would trigger any woman who's had it. As a man, I can see this, right? So I can see how it would trigger a woman because it's kind of this whole thing is kind of like having a war veteran who's been exposed to hand-to-hand type of combat sitting down and watching Hacksaw Ridge.
That's exactly it.
That's it.
It's every woman that has stories of being harassed by men, sexual assault, just not feeling safe.
And as a gay man, guess how much of it I hear? A lot.
Because you're a safe spot for many women to land. It's, I can talk to you in such a different way than I can talk to my heterosexual male friends. And, I hear this it's a war against men. And it really isn't. I love the men in my life. I've had, even though I've had bad experiences with men, I've had incredible experiences. Like my father is one of the most gentle souls that I've ever met. And
Yeah.
so it, it's just it's hard because our teenage years and what we learned was normal is now through the lens of they
Not
wanted us
normal.
to no, they
Yeah.
wanted us to be frail and emancipated and childlike.
Yeah. And there's more and more coming out. I mean, we talked about this on the episode that we just um, did about things that are coming out, which are they're hard to talk about.
They really
This stuff's
are.
hard to talk about, and for everybody, I think this stuff is getting hard to talk about. But for me, in general, I think it just hasn't been recently. I think this has been
No.
spiraling ever since the pandemic.
Honestly, like the last decade, for me as a woman, between the Me Too movement, the Access Hollywood tapes, like Brett Kavanaugh, the overturn of Roe versus Wade, and now all of this,
Yeah.
it is it's heavy and it's bringing up a lot in the collective. I'm feeling as a woman this collective. Maybe it's just because I'm 45 and perimenopausal and sick of everyone's
Well, there
like,
is that.
like that. I'm probably one of their worst nightmares at this point because I I don't care.
I always crack this joke, by the way, about most of women's problems starting either with the word man or men.
Menopause.
Don't laugh too loud here.
I know.
But it's
I noticed that.
menstruation, and it's
Yes,
menstrual cycle, and
yes.
it's menopause.
I mean,
That's terrible.
it's
Dad
horrible,
joke, sorry.
but it's true, and it has an impact. I think as also a and abuse survivor myself, like
Well, it doesn't help that the president of the United States is one of these people. That's
right?
the problem. That's when we have our leaders and we
Mm,
know that these leaders have been subjecting other people to this type of behavior and they've been blatant about it,
yeah,
really blatant about it.
they're not even
It
trying to
tends to
hide
make
it.
us all a little traumatized.
They
Even me. Like it's traumatizing for me. Because there was like gay guys on that island too, right? It wasn't
oh
just women. He
no,
had men there too.
they took advantage of the most vulnerable
It's
in society.
painful. And then we have constant bombardment of
Constant.
of and if you're and you can't escape it because you get in your car and like me, I've got CBC on because I'm old.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Oh, that was a terrible thing to say. Well, a lot of older people listen to CBC. I'm sure they're not, most of
No,
the kids are listening to CBC on their on podcasts and stuff like that, like this. But I
yeah.
listen to the radio, and it's there all the time. And then one of my favorites is, of course, Mary Trump. I like Mary Trump a lot because she's going to give you the lowdown. Because who's better to give you the lowdown on a person like him other than somebody that's been in the family?
Exactly.
So she's really like great to listen to because she's factual. But the mainstream news seems to be turning into 1984, which is making everything that much more stressful.
And then they threaten to go to war to try to distract us.
Well,
Like
that's all
it's
this
just
is.
it's honestly overload, and the way that it's coming out, it's meant to be like a psychological warfare where our brains are not meant to be constantly triggered
No,
the way that this is.
no. And here's like what's actually happening in our body. Let's just talk
That's
about that
yeah,
for a
I
minute. Okay. Um, what's some of the things that happens in your body?
so I think it's important also for us to note that those of us living with connective tissue disorders like Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and have autonomic nervous system issues like postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, those symptoms that we are already experiencing on a normal day-to-day basis without the added stress,
Right.
i- it's a lot. So people either go into, I'm sure you've heard fight or flight.
Yeah.
For me, what I feel, I know that I've overdone it when My temperature starts to be really hard to
Regulate.
regulate.
Yeah. So
I
what?
get tremors.
Yeah, that's what.
Uh,
Same kind of thing with me.
yeah,
And
it's uncomfortable.
yeah, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tell people, like, basically in layman's terms, how this
Yeah.
works with us. So in the nervous system, you have the sympathetic side and the parasympathetic side. And those are the kind of technical terms, but you can kind of think about it like, you get home from work and you have a big plate of supper and you're really relaxed and you just sit in your chair and you watch the tube and you rest and digest and everything's
Yes.
good. The other thing that happens with this, so that's your parasympathetic side,
Rest and
and
digest.
rest and digest. So just sit around and have a good time and do whatever makes you feel good.
Yes.
Now, the other side of this is the sympathetic, which kind of is a tricky kind of way to describe this, because when you think sympathy, it's like, oh, it's sympathetic, it must be good. No, it's kind of like you went home and you made dinner and you lit the kitchen on fire.
Pretty much.
And then the house burnt down. And you're standing on the sidewalk and you're wondering why you didn't have insurance. And this is the great description of the sympathetic nervous system. So what happens in normal people, they have
Yeah.
hormones that fire these things off and on depending on what's happening to them. So if your house is burning down, you run out the door and you call 911. And if you just ate a meal and now everything is chill, you sit down and you relax. But unfortunately, in people that have connective tissue disorders, and to make it really simple, and it's really complicated, but
Yep.
to make it really simple, the best way to make it simple is say that the nervous system is comprised of connective tissue. And in people with EDS, the connective tissue is broken. So you already have a broken nervous system. And what happens to this broken nervous system is it gets stuck in sympathetic mode. And this is a scientific fact of
Yep.
people with EDS.
It's a hard. I mean, I don't remember the last time I actually felt like the rest and digest, especially recently, and because our bodies just in general are in that constant state. So it's really important for us and people like us to find ways and tools to help us calm that system. Did you want to talk about the vagus nerve at all?
Well, of course, because this is what happened to me.
Yes.
So I had a vagus nerve problem. So I'll tell them about my problem, and then you
Yeah.
can elaborate about it a little bit more. So the vagus nerve is a regulatory nerve in the body, and mine got smashed into by my C1, C2 vertebrae in my neck when I had a destabilization because my connective tissue, remember, it's broken. It's not holding anything in place. So mine just kind of rotated off of C2. The C1 just moved off the top where it shouldn't be and banged into my vagus nerve, and I became a psycho for about 2 years.
It's scary.
It caused what the doctor said, like a type of nerve damage. And it took roughly, I couldn't have done this podcast till now. Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way, because I didn't have the cognitive ability. So I had constant brain fog and all of this weird stuff, which you're going to probably talk about quickly before we get into,
Yeah.
like, what are we going to do about this stuff and how
Exactly.
are we going to calm down? Even people that have EDS are one thing, but everybody else is the
Yeah.
same way. And I think they're all in sympathetic mode too, Cristie. It's
All of
not
us
just us
are.
anymore.
It's all of us right now.
Yeah. So
And I think
talk.
we feed off
Yeah.
of each other as well, like because it's this collective feeling.
Yes.
You might be wondering, like, why am I tired? Why do I
Yeah.
feel
Fatigue,
like
right? Extreme
lethargic?
fatigue.
Yeah. Why am I having problems concentrating? And
Yeah.
I can be in the middle of a conversation and forget what I was saying. It's this constant stress and impact on our systems. So it really is important for us to not just understand why it's happening, but that helps us then know how to help ourselves with the tools.
Yeah. So I just want to make it clear too that we all experience both parasympathetic and sympathetic states.
Yes.
People with EDS mostly experience sympathetic states, unfortunately, because the connective tissue is broken. But
Yeah.
normal people have sympathetic states. You know, when you get, if something's chasing you, you run away.
Exactly.
That's you in a sympathetic state, right? So tell us a little bit more about the vagus nerve before we get on to how to soothe these things and what we do, you and I, to be able to maintain like our sanity, which I'm going to use that term loosely, in this world.
So, with the vagus nerve, because it's our largest central nervous system nerve in our bodies, and being in constant stress and having that kind of stuck in
Sympathetic, right?
yeah, I know. I was about to look. Is it sympathetic or parasympathetic? Because you're right. It doesn't make sense that the
No,
sympathetic is
I always used to mix it up because it was like, oh, sympathetic must be nice.
exactly that.
It's
That's
not.
it. It really isn't. And so I think the biggest thing is just if you're feeling any of these things where you have this like I get adrenaline dumps, and for me, I get a lot of shaking and tremors. I don't know if you experience that as well, but it's just the nervous system is completely overwhelmed, and it doesn't understand the difference between a real actual threat like our ancestors would, I don't know, face a bear,
Yes, that's what I was
and
saying,
you have
right?
the heart rate, and
Yeah.
that's a normal response to being faced with a bear.
Right.
But
And the whole world is the bear right now. That's the problem.
that's exactly. So then we pick up our phones,
Mm.
and what are we doing? Because
We
right
doom
now,
scrolling, girl. We
all right,
doom scrolling.
we're doom scrolling, and it has an impact.
Because we
It
have a
has a
news. I have a news. I'm gonna come clean. I have a news addiction. I gotta
yeah,
know. I gotta know. I gotta know. And it's because of that kid. It's because of the kid that laid in bed and thought everything was gonna blow up.
yeah.
I really feel like something. Sometimes I really feel like there's a volatility in this world, and that the people that are at the helm don't know what the hell they're doing, and that kid has some validity. So you know how I feel right now.
It's but do you think there's a component of like having that information makes you feel more in control?
Absolutely.
And I think that's where a lot of people are. They're like,
Yeah,
we
but
need
not
to
everybody.
know.
But we will acknowledge. But because of past trauma, not everybody can immerse themselves like that.
And honestly, it's not healthy to totally immerse yourself.
No,
You need to give yourselves breaks from this constant, like back in our day, we
back in our
we didn't
day.
back in our day, we didn't have 24/7 news.
Hmm.
We got the newspaper, we
Right.
listened to the radio once a
Yep.
day or
Yep.
whatever it was,
Yep.
the news in the morning, news at night,
Yep.
and otherwise we weren't constantly connected. But now we have this little device
Yes.
where, you know, if we get bored, if we want to
Well,
be
you try to
entertained,
like for me,
constant.
it's music connected, so it's my
Yeah.
job. So if I'm not on, even when, so I don't scroll a lot. I'll be
Okay.
honest with you. A lot of
Yeah.
people, I'm missing a lot of people, a lot of my fans and a lot of my followers, and I'm missing a lot of my friends' birthdays because
Yeah.
I'm not on there a lot. So what I do is I go on there because I've got my music page, I've got my regular page, I've got an Instagram account, I've got a TikTok account. So I'm constantly posting on that stuff, and I've got like subscribers on Instagram that I specifically post for. So there's a lot to do. So I'm opening the apps a lot, but even just
Okay.
opening the app and seeing like the first
The
headline, it's
headlines.
usually bad
Of course they are.
because Meta's feeding this stuff.
Yeah.
They know what's going to drive everybody to comment and argue and fight, and that is their game.
It's honestly the division. And I think too, like when we think about who actually owns these big media companies that are where everyone is getting their information, like they all have
They're
bias.
oh, listen, Facebook has been really bad with me. Like I see stuff on Facebook and I can't believe that and I can't do anything on Facebook. Like they shut down my posts. I know they do.
Oh,
And I've watched it because I've been there for a long time. So I've
yeah.
been there. I've had a professional page on Facebook for 15 years. And it used to be populated. Like I'd post a picture or something, a news, something that about music, and there'd be 10,000 likes.
Yeah.
And now I get 29.
So
because
is this the algorithms, or do
it's
you think?
if you're tagging stuff, sometimes
Yeah.
LGBTQ, or you're putting
Oh,
resist on anything, which I'm
yes.
doing, of course,
Of course.
they shut that stuff down. And I did just notice that one of my reels got like 125,000 people watched it, and it had, unfortunately, it had the nurse that got shot
Oh,
in the United States by ICE. It was just terrible. I usually don't make reels like that, but I was
yeah.
so affected by that I had to do something. So I felt like I have a platform. There's 40,000 people there. I'll put it there. I just needed to express myself. But yeah, you do
Yeah.
have to find ways to detox away from it. So, and it's a real trap. It's a mind trap. And then they put your favorite thing right next to
Yeah.
that. So like for me, it's usually work gear or boots, or socks or something like that. And they just know how to keep you there.
It's a kind of addiction
Yeah, like I love
where,
clothing, right? So,
yeah,
or it's something that I've just Googled. It's just to keep you there. And now
yeah.
we have to figure out a way to kind of get back to where we were before this stuff existed.
And I think, honestly, I wouldn't change my childhood for anything. And I see these kids these days so young having phones.
Walking down the road, down the street,
It,
not just kids, but people,
people
like with their faces in this thing
constantly, they're
all the
not
time.
connected with the real world.
Mm-mm.
They're just so focused on this addiction of, I don't know if it's the dopamine hits or whatever it is.
It's dopamine for sure.
For sure.
Yeah,
We
it's
both
dopamine.
know that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. So I mean, so that's doom scrolling culture is what it
yeah,
is, because that's what
yeah,
we've been trained to do, and
yeah,
now we're getting fed narratives that aren't even correct anymore. So
yeah.
now there's everything out there, everybody's opinion. We don't know really the source of it because you
Nope.
have to dig to figure out whether it's correct or not, and you can't.
Exactly.
I mean, we're basing our stress on this,
Right?
and
And that,
some of it might not even be real.
but that's part of the plan, I think, is like to leak out a certain amount of like things that are just so extreme that you would think, oh, there's no way. So then that like nullifies all these other implications of what's come up.
Yeah.
And, and then with AI,
Oh, there's so
I
much.
mean,
And
you
it's
don't even
really
know what's true or not
it's
in a lot of
getting it's
cases.
getting good.
It's
It's
getting
getting
too
good.
good.
I watched
Yeah.
Do you like Star Trek?
Yes.
Okay, so did you see the Star Trek disco AI video?
No.
You have to go
Oh
see it.
my
If you
goodness.
haven't anybody hasn't seen that, they need to go on YouTube and just type in Star Trek disco AI video. And I can't remember what the title of it is, but that is incredible.
Okay.
And it's enough to make you go, if you don't go, like, I need to research everything before I move ahead. I don't post anything anymore. I just don't hit the share button without
Yeah.
relentlessly anymore.
No. Without doing the due diligence of like, is this accurate? Where is the source actually coming from? Like, when I was after college, I studied PR. And so I worked with a lot of news and media. And we had a term back in the 2000s called infotainment. So, like, this is not a new idea or way of working. I think it's just on such a bigger scale,
Scale.
and
Yeah.
it's
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 a
nonstop.
it's a force right now. And I think when David Bowie said that we had no idea the implications of what the internet would bring upon
No,
humanity, I don't think any of us knew.
to this extent.
No.
No,
So let's, so there's, we know we're not shaming anybody, because
no,
I get into it myself, and
we all
I
do.
see, I think that if I do it on YouTube, that means I'm not doing it on Facebook.
Mm.
Bad, Drake. Bad, because
I,
I sometimes, like I said, I get into it and then I go down that rabbit hole, and I'm just, no, it's not doing me any good, because the bear starts chasing me. If we're back to the bear again, where
yeah,
the house
I
is
mean,
burning down.
yeah,
So let's talk about, you have EDS, HEDS. I have HEDS, which is the hypermobility type
yes,
of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Um, let's talk about ourselves. Let's be selfish for a moment and tell
okay,
people, give them the down and the dirty about really what we're noticing about what, just so they have examples of what happens with our when our sympathetic nervous systems are literally stuck on like they are with people like us. So
It
what realm are you in when this is happening at its worst?
it's it's exhausting, it's triggering. I feel my heart palpitating. Like sometimes it gets so bad it feels like my heart is going to explode out of my chest. It's dizzy spells. Like my POTS, when I'm stressed, my POTS is brutal.
Yeah.
Like I
So
can't.
people,
Yes,
so just
maybe
just
we
to
should
stop for a minute,
explain.
when she talks about pots, she's not talking about making macaroni. She, so what this is a lot of people with EDS, you hear the word comorbidity a lot. And what
Yes.
comorbidity means is if you have EDS, there's a lot of other conditions that are attached to it that are just as bad as the title itself. So with POTS, it's called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So it's where you're actually, you could be sitting down, you stand up, and your heart goes to 190 beats per minute and doesn't stop for about 10 seconds.
And potentially until you actually faint. Like
I've never
oh,
fainted with it.
you've never fainted?
No, I don't get to
The-
that point.
See, I've gotten a lot better at noticing, like, oh, the room is starting to
Spin.
spin and I
Yeah.
can't see properly anymore. Like, it's time for me to sit down
Right.
or probably better lay down.
Yeah. Now, do you get
So
hungrier or do you get less hungry?
I get less hungry.
Yeah. See,
When I'm stressed, I can't eat.
I just want to eat the kitchen.
I mean, it's either or. I
And
think a
I'm sure
lot of
there's a lot of
people,
people going out there. I don't have EDS, but I could eat
yeah,
the kitchen too because I'm so goddamn stressed about all this.
exactly. And that's a normal response when your nervous system is being constantly triggered
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we are right
So
now.
are those your like major, like, do you get night sweats?
Oh, the sweats. The
Yeah.
sweats are so bad.
Yeah.
It's it literally looks like I poured a bucket of water over my face
Yeah.
and my I'm just
I've had times
this
like that. So for me, like sometimes I'll get, if we're going out, if I know
yeah.
that I have to go out into society, because let's just talk about
Yeah.
society for a minute, because
Yep.
society is all angry and
Yep.
hyper focused on the news, and that's just
Yeah.
what's happening. And because
Yep.
it's once they take a bite, everybody's eating the same thing, and we're all like vibrating on the same level, and we're all
Yep.
connected. And guess what?
Yep.
Society's become hard to be out in. So when I have to go out into society, if I have to get a shower, and
Yeah.
I sometimes I'll get dressed, and another comorbidity of this EDS thing is a thing called dysautonomia, where your central nervous system is malfunctioning, and it's part of this whole sympathetic thing, by the way.
Yep.
And I will sweat so bad after I get dressed after my shower, I have to
Yeah.
change my clothes again before I go out.
Oh, I sit naked for at least like half an hour because I know that if if I put my clothes on right away without laying down
Yeah.
after shower and I'm using a seat, like a shower seat to help so I'm not standing up the entire time, um, you know, I will sit there naked because
I
until
just
I
had
can
this
feel.
vision. I had this vision of us having like a pajama party where we just had showers, and the two of us are sitting at the kitchen table naked, having our special oat muffins and our electrolyte drinks.
Bring us the electrolyte drinks
Yeah.
because
We're going to talk
after
about that. So
sweating so much,
that's a whole
yeah,
other episode, that one. But
yes,
but it's very, very true about this stuff. It's so, you do kind of have to stop and sit and
yeah,
let yourself, because my temperature regulation is completely off. I'm either sweating, freezing,
yep,
or I've got weird chills,
yep.
or I'm so hot that
Oh,
I don't sweat, but I still feel hot.
yeah,
So I have all these weird things. I didn't know what this was. And when the doctor said, "Oh, you have dysautonomia," I'm like, "Well,
yeah,
oh God, what's that? That sounds horrible."
yeah.
And I've had
Well,
it my whole life. And, I didn't know that it had a name. And
exactly.
being a performer, by the way, before I
Oh,
go out on stage,
yeah.
I'm soaked before I hit the stage because I'm nervous, you know?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
We're going to talk more about EDS and all of the fun comorbidities that we have and that many of us zebras have in our next episode. So those of you that aren't familiar, it's okay. You'll, we're going to talk more about all of this stuff in more detail too.
Yeah. And as we go along, we've been
Exactly.
dropping nuggets here and there about,
Yes.
the the nightmares of the whole thing.
Oh my
But
god.
I just
There's
think
a
we
lot.
we felt so compelled, like, because
Yeah.
we've been trying to get these episodes done for a while, but I think
Yeah.
both of us have been pretty affected by, like, the recent happenings and not only our personal lives, but the world in general. I mean, we all have to remember too, here's the other thing. We all have this personal life stress
Yeah.
above and beyond anything that's happening in the world before we even
Exactly.
step outside the door. Some people have really, really, really stressful lives right now.
And it's just compounded with what's happening on a global level and what's happening in our day-to-day lives, because all of this, whether you understand, like, oh, you're feeling more like irritable or easily triggered and annoyed, there's a reason and an explanation for it. It's not random. So I think we really want you to know that even if you don't live with chronic conditions like us, everybody's feeling off right now.
Yeah, and it causes chronic conditions.
It let's talk about women suppressing rage, and that's one of the biggest causes of autoimmune conditions, because we've been socialized and taught to not express ourselves and to push it down and bury it. But the reality is at some point it's going to come back up to
Well,
be
look at, I
addressed.
mean, if you
And
want to look at,
yeah,
prime example, the Canadian military, you know, look at the
yeah,
Canadian military. Just that alone. That's all I need to say. I don't need to say anything else. There's been so much abuse when they have to come up with like acronyms about things,
yes,
about this sexual harassment. And when we're talking about sexual harassment,
yeah,
because I'm a gay man,
yeah,
I I have heard so much from friends and fans about being, you know, oppressed in gay relationships and raped. So I don't want to not include men here
yeah, no,
because
definitely.
one of my I'll never forget. I released a song called "Scars" and it was all about being assaulted when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I got an email from this guy that had been raped. And I'll be honest with you, I never really thought about a man getting
From
raped
Yeah,
because society is programmed to think it only happens to women. And he
exactly.
went on to describe it in great detail. And it was pretty traumatizing to read. But at the end, he said, well, the video really helped him because it helped him get rid of some of that rage you're talking about.
And that's where it comes in, like, the tools. So, like, yes, I have trauma and eh, probably a lot of medical PTSD related to what I've gone through in my health. But then there's also the same kind of trauma or similar trauma in my relationships and abuse. And what I've learned through that is that regardless of where that trauma and those whatever you're being triggered by, they all respond in your body the same way.
Yeah, you're still going to
All
sweat.
of it.
You're going to do
All
the
of
sweat
it.
thing. Your
Yeah.
appetite goes away. That's the thing about this is that we
Yeah.
have it in, like I said, our personal lives. We have it in every day. And I don't know about you. Have
Yeah.
you been to the grocery store lately?
I try to go during the week, during the day when there's only a handful of people there,
Well, I don't go.
because
Michael goes. By the way, I
okay.
don't. I don't do the grocery store.
Well, we're also very empathetic people.
No, I also get angry. So I get
Oh,
really
okay.
angry in the grocery store because I really don't think a jar of peanut butter should be $10.99.
I mean,
I go out of
yeah,
my
we can
mind.
talk about
So
that too.
Michael would rather leave me in the truck, honest to God, than so my point is here is
Yeah.
can you imagine the pressure that people are feeling? A
Yeah.
lot of people are single right now. They're trying to
Yeah.
pay their bills, they're trying to pay their
Yes.
mortgage, they're trying to get to work. They're trying to survive and have some type of life and they're trying to eat. How do you do it today?
The cost of living alone is insane. I don't I'm in a very lucky position where I do have supportive family members that have helped, because if it was just me trying to survive just on disability, and I know a lot of people might have the belief that people on disability are using the system or a burden to the system, but I'll tell you, it's not easy to get by on what we're actually given
Well,
on
which is not very
disability,
much, right?
which I'll be honest, it's about $1,000 a month.
There's no way.
And
So if you were
there's
by,
literally no
so
way.
let's say you had no family, you were,
Yeah.
orphan Cristie.
Yeah.
What is Cristie going to do with $1,000 a month right now?
Exact.
Rent
I
is
mean,
2,000.
exactly.
Rent would be
Alone.
2,000.
Yes.
Yeah, for like
I
a
wouldn't
one
be
or two
able to
bedroom.
eat. I wouldn't be able to pay for some of
No.
my
So
meds
now
that
we
aren't
know people are
covered.
saying,
Yeah.
why are there so many people down in the Ottawa market? And why is there
Yeah.
so many homeless people?
Exactly.
They don't have the money.
They don't.
But we
I would
have
be
the
on the
money.
streets.
But we have the
Mm-mm.
money for Cristie Noam to spend $205 million on her ICE TV ads. Did you see that? And this is part of my news thing I shouldn't be consuming, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say I try to avoid looking at news too
$205
much because
million of the USA's taxpayer dollars went to promote her ads of her riding around looking like She-Ra the warrior princess on the back of a horse promoting ICE
oh my god!
on national TV. $202 million.
Like if that doesn't enrage you,
Could feed all of North America. It could feed all of North America, and it could take everybody off the street.
the billions of dollars spent on war.
Ask me why my nervous system is on
Yeah,
fire.
right?
That's why my nervous system's on
Yeah.
fire, because it's not because of what's on the news. It's because I
No.
sit around and think about, well, this would be so easy to fix, and why the hell
Yeah.
can't we fix it? We
It's
can't fix it
because
because nobody wants to be generous. People don't
But
want to be generous these days. In general, I find there's a real problem with that, by the way.
how I look at it, I think it stems from our systems, which are all the patriarch. Like when I talk about the patriarchy, I'm not talking about men. I'm
No, all of
talking
it.
about the systems.
All of it.
Yes,
The 1%.
exactly. The ones on the top are literally the only people, and I refuse to call them elites because they are not.
No, because they're trash.
They are.
We've seen it. And actually, Cristie, they're worse than trash.
They're evil.
Well, so we should do the spiritual episode. And I know,
Yeah.
people always ask me about my spirituality, but I
Yeah.
believe, so here's what I believe in a
Okay.
real layman's terms nutshell.
Yep.
I believe that there's two forces in the world. I believe there's good and there's evil. And right
Yep.
now, I believe that evil has drank its Powerade and taken like 50 Red Bulls
Yep.
and now is running a marathon through everybody's psyche, and everybody's biting into this. And
Yeah.
the more that we fight on Facebook, the more we become part of that patriarchy.
It's because they want separation. They want us to be divided. Because
Yeah.
if we came together and actually supported each other, which, by the way, would be a matriarchy society, which I think, honestly, I've seen so many people say, if all these names come out, then all of those systems are going to collapse.
And
I
we
say,
can't do that. Oh, no. Why?
Exactly. Why?
Why can't we do that? Why can't we have a reset? Because I'll
Because-
tell you right now, I want it.
So do I. And honestly, it's time for the matriarchy to make its way back.
Yeah.
Because this patriarchy, although it's been like centuries of this, what existed prior to that is a respect of nature, a respect high up and protecting the most vulnerable in society, connecting with love and empathy and intuition. It's all the divine feminine, it's matriarchy. And our world would look completely different.
You said
in the best way.
You said the N word. Oh God, that gets me started. That turns me into sympathetic mode big time.
Sorry,
Nature.
didn't mean to trigger.
Nature. It's like I said to Michael the other day. We're driving home from the grocery store, by the way, where we spent probably way too much money that I didn't know about or I didn't ask about because he doesn't want me to rant. But I looked at him. I said, "There's no birds."
Yeah.
I said, "Where's all the birds?"
Yeah.
So here I am. I'm not only worried about, here's how I feel. I'm worried about the war in Iran. I'm worried about what's going on south of the border. I'm worried about what happened in Venezuela that was just left in the middle of nowhere, and then what's happening in Iran, and then what's happening in Ukraine. Between Russia and Ukraine, which has been going on for so long. And
yes,
this is what's like driving me crazy. And then on top of it all, what are we going to worry about? Oh, I don't think about the mud or, because up here in the country,
Yeah.
it's muddy. I think about,
Yeah.
oh my God, the wildfire season's coming now
Yeah.
because we've had a couple of scares and
And I mean, literally, the world is on fire.
the
How
world is on fire. Did you ever listen to the song?
the world on fire?
The Sarah McLachlan.
I'm gonna have to go.
I would encourage anybody who
Okay.
wants a good vent, a good, like, a good frustrating vent cry kind of let it all go song right now.
Yeah.
If I had the licensing rights to be able to play it, I would have. Uh, but yeah, World on Fire by Sarah McLachlan. She wrote about it a long time ago.
The one that is like on my playlist, and I actually was part of my prep coming into today, was Labor by Paris Paloma. And to me, it just feels like all of my ancestors, like all of their voices rising.
It's interesting you say that because of where I am spiritually,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of everything, all the lineage I've been attached to in the past,
Yeah.
with all of this stress, I still feel like I'm attached to many who've come before me.
Yeah.
And for some reason, some things feel very real to me that were like 45 years ago lately.
Yeah.
Like time is a weird construct at
Yes.
this given time.
Yeah.
And for some weird reason, I keep having these flashbacks of people that I knew like 40, 50 years ago that were older people that were in my life that were significant. And it makes me feel really good. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
wondering, do their energy still exist? And am I feeling their energy as a source of comfort? And I like to
Ooh,
believe that.
I just got goosebumps all over my arms because I 100% do, because I feel it.
Yeah, and that helps me. So we're going to talk
Yeah.
like we got what do we got left? We got 20,
We're
18
good.
minutes left. We're
We're
really
doing
really good. We're
good.
doing good. We thought we were going to babble too much.
That's
Um,
the thing. But I'm impressed. I'm happy with us.
yeah, I think we oh my God, look at us. We're doing a podcast. Can you
Oh my
believe this?
god.
Every once in a while we get all enamored by the fact we're
I
actually doing
know.
this. We have no idea what we're doing.
None.
I have to figure out how to edit all this stuff and get it out. I mean, this is going to be the first of a 3 episode drop. So you're
Yeah.
going to be seeing the 3 of these episodes. You're going to be getting the first one where we interviewed each other. And then you're going to be getting this one about, everybody's nervous systems are on
Yep.
fire. And oh my God, it's time for a breakdown.
Yep.
And then we've got the ABCs of EDS for our 3rd episode. So you're going to be able to listen to them all at once. It's going to be very overwhelming for people to have like a triple dose of us all at once, Cristie.
You think? I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, I think so.
But you know what? They can listen. They can listen. They can take breaks when they need to, and then come back when they're ready for more. Like,
That's what Michael does. He's been doing that for the past 18 years we've been married,
oh
and it works
really?
works really well. Yeah, he takes breaks from me. He just goes away and lets me stew on my own. He hates the news, by the way, and he hates when I play it. He doesn't want to put it on at all.
I have had, and it's weird because I used to work in the media, but I think that also kind of tainted me because I could see even like 25 years ago, aging myself, but I could see the bias and how things were like. They literally told us it's called infotainment. Like people want to be,
Infotainment, yeah.
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 So it's
And they had no
information,
idea
but
where it was going to go from back
exactly.
then to what it is now. Because, okay, so you think about it. Okay, so we were talking about the Ukraine war there a couple of seconds ago.
Yes. It was,
But are you hearing about it right now?
no,
It's like it doesn't even exist,
I know.
which is horrific,
I know.
right? Because of the Iran distraction. Oh my God, we're
It,
never going into countries and we're never trying to do regime changes
yeah.
anymore. Suddenly is turned into like every like 4 days there's a new war,
And
and we
no
don't hear,
wonder we're so
and we yeah, and we
having
don't even,
anxiety and feeling depressed constantly.
and we're not even hearing about Ukraine anymore. It's
Yeah.
almost like, oh, poof, that doesn't exist anymore. It really doesn't matter. That's what it feels like to me.
It really does. Similar to Cuba. Like the only reason I even know what's happening in Cuba is because I have some Canadian friends that are there, and like they aren't getting any resources. Like people are starving.
Scary thing that I don't know, one of my scary things is that I have a fan of mine in Iran.
Oh.
And we kind of got to talking fairly often, and he told me about, the constructive society in Iran and how they can't leave, and it's really scary over there, okay? And
I
I
can only
haven't,
imagine.
since the war started, I haven't heard from him.
That's scary.
It is. So I send him messages every once in a while, even though
Just to
I
check in.
even though I know he doesn't have internet, because what happens over there is that the internet disappears, by the way. It just
It's
goes away.
control. It's control from the highest.
Yeah. So,
That
and the other stat on Iran, and I'm not going saying, oh, no, we should have started the war with Iran. I don't believe that. But
yeah,
a couple of, just as a fact, he texted me on Instagram, and he
yeah.
said that 18,000 people were executed that week in Iran
18,000
that
people.
he knew about. Yeah. 18,000 people. The regime that was in control, and are still in control because its son has taken over, by the way, speaking of this patriarchy
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
So yeah, they executed like 18,000 people, apparently, is what he told me. It was
Like
absolute. Imagine living in this. It was absolutely
I
horrific. This
can't.
is a kid. He's 22 years old,
I just
and
I can't.
he's
I can't
gay, and he's
imagine.
gay. He's gay.
Oh,
He's gay
so
and
he's like,
terrified.
yeah, of course he is.
Yeah. So he talks to me.
Like,
So
who is going to hold these people accountable for like the
there is no,
constant abuse of
that's the
power?
problem. There is no accountability with anything right now.
And I think,
That's what stresses me out. That's why
of
my
course, it
nervous
is.
system's on fire, because
Exactly.
nobody is accountable for, if you walk in a store, okay?
Yeah.
Back in my day, here we go, I'm
Yep.
old. Back in my day, when you walked into Tim Hortons, you would
Yeah.
have somebody behind the cash that would look at you and say, "Hi, how are you? What can I
Yeah.
get for you?"
Yeah.
In Cape Breton, you'd say, "Hi," in Cape Breton, they'd say, "Hi, dear, how you doing? What would you like today?" And
I
I'd say,
love
"I'd
that.
like to have a double and
Yeah.
Boston cream donut." And she'd go, "Tree, tree, dear."
Oh,
That's
that's
what
so
it's like
cute.
at home.
I
But
love it.
but that's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
And now it's like they stare at you. You walk in to
It's,
get a coffee and they
yeah.
stare at you. It's because it seems like everybody's gone numb emotionally, and that's kind of scary.
It really is. The other day I was watching Jane Goodall's Famous Last Words, and it's amazing, by the way, if you haven't listened to it.
Okay.
And her biggest overall message to the world was to not lose hope. Because once you lose hope, that's when people become just so overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
that they don't do anything. It just kind of accepts what we're seeing right now is just accepting. And I think
Oh, I'm not
it's
accepting.
hard.
I'm
It's
not a.
hard not to have hope right
Oh,
now.
well, and that's why
Well, it's hard to have hope,
I try to
but it's
be.
important.
Let's talk about that, because we got
Okay.
about 10
Yeah,
minutes
let's.
left. Let's talk about what we do and what can we do. I mean, what can we do to? We literally have to discipline ourselves. I know
Yeah.
that for sure.
Discipline, but so here's one of the things that I do to help with my vagus nerve. It's something quick and easy. It's basically humming. You take a breath in and then you let yourself hum, and that stimulates the vagus nerve
Okay.
and brings.
Just like that. It's
Yeah,
actually
how
good
does
for
that
the
feel?
voice too.
Is You can also gargle.
I hum a lot, by
Gargle.
the way.
And do you find that helps you?
Yeah, because it
And
makes me focus on the hum.
yes,
Because I'm
but it's also the vibration that's very healing for us and our
interesting.
nervous system. It, I started using these tuning forks.
You were talking about this tuning fork
Yes,
thing.
the
Yes.
tuning forks, honestly, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling tight in your jaw, like I have TMJ on the
So
regular,
you hit your jaw with the tuning fork?
yes, and it's the vibration.
Wow.
And it literally is telling our muscles to tune in and relax because it's tuning into different vibration.
Well, that's amazing how all that vibrational stuff works, because everything we're talking about today is based on a vibration.
100% energy. I truly believe And I understand energy. I work with energy. We're all connected. And it's all a balance. Like you were saying, there's forces of good and
And evil.
evil, and it's
You can
light
see
and
it.
shadow.
You can
It
see it.
is.
You can see the force itself. And we have to, again, we're back to we have to have hope, right? Because
Exactly.
the force of kindness is not being exploited by the media right now.
It really isn't.
Now, do we think for a minute that there's no kindness happening in the world at the moment? That is such bullshit. That's
It
just not how it is, people.
it
We're
really isn't.
we're just
It
being
isn't.
fed poison all the time because poison sells, and we need to realize this. Stopping, just one thing you can do. Okay. I challenge anybody. And yes, it says don't be confrontational in our little, I know you told me like, don't do this. And
Come
so
on,
here
Drake.
we are. I'm going to be daddy for a minute.
Okay.
Um, One thing I've stopped myself from doing, and this is something that I do, I stop myself from responding in Facebook to posts that are to be combative with somebody.
Yep.
I have completely let that go because my logical mind, once I sat down and I really thought about it, I thought, okay, so Joe Blow over there has got an opinion and I'm going to respond to him. And then I'm going to have a
Yep.
45-minute typing session with some
Yep.
guy who I don't even know who it is.
Right.
And at the end of the whole thing, you know what it's going to mean?
E-
Nothing.
Exactly.
You haven't contributed to anything.
It's just made you angrier
Yeah. So
and more frustrated.
my challenge to you all listening, and hopefully we have one or two people listening by this point.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Fingers crossed.
Me too.
I believe in us.
I'm kind of thinking that this could be a good thing for us, just so we can rant and everybody can listen to us ranting about stuff like this.
It's law of attraction.
It is.
Yeah.
But my challenge is before you start typing, ask yourself how it's going to improve your day.
Powerful. Yeah.
Because if it's not going to directly improve your day in these trying times,
Yeah.
let it go.
Go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Okay. So one thing I
Yes.
want to talk about, I want you to talk about, and I want you to guide us through this for the next maybe 1 or 2 minutes. I'm putting you on the spot.
No worries.
Let's go back to basics. We're going to do the ABCs of EDS next in the next episode, but let's go back to the basics of breathing. Let's talk about box breathing.
So box breathing is honestly one of my absolute favorite because it's so easy.
So can we do it? So
Let's do it.
I want to do it. So everybody else too. Let's all do this together. Okay. So Christy's
So I
we're going to do a guided box breathe.
I want you to sit in a comfortable position, whether it's cross-legged.
Okay, hold on 1 second. All right, I'm good.
Okay. Now you're going to take a deep breath in for a count of 4 through your nose. So breathe in. Now you're going to hold that breath for a count of 4. You're going to exhale through your mouth for a count of 4. And then you're going to hold for another set of 4. You want to do another one?
I'm still doing it. Yeah.
Oh, breathe in through the nose for a count of 4. Hold. Now release.
This
and
works.
Hold.
It works.
It really brings you into
The moment.
the now.
Yeah.
And that's what we need, because
I really noticed it there. Because
it's powerful.
if I'm not in the moment where I know we're recording this,
yep,
I'll be in my chair. I'm very distracted by everything around me because of the ADHD.
I get that.
And
my phone is turned
so
over,
I don't notice
so I'm
the
not,
effect because I'm not focused enough.
Yeah.
But now that we're focused here and I did it, I really noticed how much it calmed me down.
This is honestly a mix of this and tapping is what I did when I went into like emergency surgeries where life
where you had ultimate
change.
life failure, your body life
exactly.
failures.
Yeah. And these are the tools that I use.
So the box breathing is excellent. Another tool that I find is really good, and I don't think any of us do enough of it, and I'll get on my soapbox, so you'll probably have to stop me, is that even if you have EDS, get off your ass. Not enough people are moving. And when I say moving,
Right.
I don't care what you're doing. You could be sitting
Yeah.
on a chair and lifting your right leg up. But walking in general, like going for a walk and leaving your phone home, leave your even your headphones home,
Yeah.
and just go walk somewhere where it's a little quiet. Try to get away from traffic because it's scary.
Yes.
Up here, it's
Yeah.
really easy. There's only 700 people that live in this village, or 800 now, I
Yeah.
think. So I go in the nighttime, and all I hear is the wind.
It's so calming.
Yeah, so walking is one of those things. So you got the box breathing. I'm going to offer walking. I'm going to say get out and go for a walk, even if it's 15 minutes.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
So, for me, the last time I felt like a collective sense of joy in this world was the Bonito Ball. And I think
What is
that
that?
the Bonito Ball was the Super Bowl, but it was specifically. I'm surprised you haven't watched Bad Bunny and
No.
his performance.
Oh, I did.
So
Oh, yes, I did.
so it was Bad Bunny and just the dancing and the laughing and the
Yeah, because
pure
nobody's feeling
joy.
that joy anymore.
So dancing actually, if you
Yeah.
move your hips, it's a somatic way to release. We hold a lot of grief in our hips, and just shake it a little bit. Shake it, do a little bit of dancing. It,
And if you're
it
not shy,
brings a different,
put that on your Facebook page instead.
right? If you
Yeah.
like to twerk, do some
Twerk
twerking.
on Facebook.
You know,
Twerk on
like
can you twerk on TikTok without getting banned?
I'm not on TikTok,
No,
so
I'm a
I'm not
terrible.
totally
I'm
sure.
a picture guy. I'm so old. I'm like throwing up pictures of myself on TikTok because I'm thinking when we start the podcast, I might actually start to do TikToks and introduce people to us so more people get to hear this and get to hear, our everyday thoughts about really complex things like we've talked about today,
Yeah.
you know?
Eh,
So we talked about box breathing and we talked
yes.
about dancing,
Yeah.
whether you do it by yourself
Walking.
or you go out and do it, whatever.
Yeah.
We've talked about walking, which is really, really great, you know.
In nature.
But I do think the simplest form of this that you can do anywhere, the
Yeah.
breathing, there is really something to
Yes.
this breathing thing, okay? And this is something that everybody should take to heart. Try this box breathing thing.
It honestly is life changing. It sounds so simple, but until you like give it a try, like a real try, not like, oh, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Like go into it with an open mind and notice how your body feels. Do you feel calmer? Are your shoulders a little bit more relaxed than they were when you started? All these things are signs that your body wants to calm itself.
And the other thing is hydration.
Yes,
We don't
huge.
hydrate near enough.
We really don't.
And when you're stressed, you need it even more.
Yeah.
And
It's,
so we're always, we were talking about electrolytes before, and electrolytes are
yeah.
really important for people with EDS and people that have POTS and these things. But, we're going to talk about this on the nutritional episode. So we're going to
Yes.
do a nutrition. We might have to do 2 nutritional episodes.
It's starting to look like that.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it.
No, it's going to be fun to talk
Yeah.
about this because I've
Yeah.
recently, I have a specialist for my EDS that I work with in Colorado who's going to come on as a special guest. Robin Fogg has been working with people with connective tissue disorders and pain management and nutritional lifestyle changes with me, in particular, since I've been at the conference. And it's been
Yeah.
life changing. I've changed my body. I've changed my inflammation and my pain levels. So whether you have EDS or you have chronic pain or whatever
Yep.
you have, the nutritional episodes are going to be really, really informative. I can't wait to do these nutrition things.
I really can't either. I mean, with someone that has IBD like I do, I have a lot of gut issues, which, I mean, if you're feeling nauseous, and those are all responses that your nervous system is being
Is
triggered.
over responding.
It really
Try
is.
the box breathing, I think, is one of the best
Yes.
things about this episode. I really think that
Honest.
just making people aware of that. So on that note,
Yes.
this was great. I think we thought, oh my God, are we going to have enough? And
I know.
and now here we are. We actually didn't cover everything, but I think we're going to, as we go, we'll cover a little bit more, and we'll always be dropping things about how's everybody doing out there. Just remember,
Yeah.
be kind to yourself. Do something nice for yourself. Remember your sense of self. Don't allow this to dilute who you are. And I
No.
think that's another key point too. And what do you got to say for last words?
Honestly, if you're listening to this and you have your own tools that we didn't talk about that help you, share it with us.
Drop a
It's
comment.
important for us.
I can't wait to
Yes,
read people's comments.
it's really important right now for us to create community. And I think, sharing tips with each other that can help us through what we're experiencing is incredibly powerful. And it's how we take our power back.
Yeah, and we're going to have a
So,
Facebook page too, and I think we're going to have an Instagram account.
yeah.
And we're going to
And
probably do all this little live things. We're going to might do little lives once in a while on Instagram
yeah.
and things like that.
And
Just to,
eventually with like interviewing people, like
yeah,
we have a lot of
we have so
ideas.
many things. Just stick
Like,
with us, people. Stick with us.
please.
We have another episode coming up after this one. We're going to be releasing 3 in a row. And the next one you're going to be listening to is the ABCs of
EDS.
And it sounds really simple, but it's not. But
It's complicated.
we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Well, it's kind of tonight, I guess. Tonight for us because we're doing it in the night.
Yeah.
But thank you for
Whenever
being
you're listening.
during this time.
We hope you have an awesome day.
During this difficult time. Remember,
Yes.
and I've been telling everybody I love them.
Honestly, so have I. I love you very much, Drake, and I appreciate.
But I love you, right? There's been this vibe from last September it started.
Literally when we connected at the conference, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, Cristie, you had one of the best talks at the conference. We got to talk about the conference sometime too, because it was great. It was so eye-opening it was overwhelming and eye-opening. And we're going to talk about like getting diagnosed with EDS during the ABCs and things like that on the next episode. So be sure to join us on the next episode. And I am Drake Jensen.
I'm Cristie Vito.
And this
is Ben
Snap,
and Chat.
Thanks,
I love it.
Thanks, Cristie.
Take care.
We'll see you on the flip side when we're doing the ABCs again, girl.
Here we go.
All right. Thanks, Cristie.
Bye. Take care.
You too.